Macy has always dreamed of becoming a monster hunter like her parents. But soon everything changed. A large group of orphans crowded into one circle and listened very attentively to a girl who read them a book full of sea monsters that were very dangerous. But thanks to the hunters, the sea has become a safe place for people and their ships. The teacher came into the children's room without warning and dispersed everyone to their beds. She said that since they read the book so late, it means that they break the rules, thereby insulting the king and queen. The king and queen, out of politeness, created a shelter for the children of monster hunters. The teacher left, and the girl who was reading the book jumped out of the window and escaped from the shelter. For 30 years, the captain had been hunting for a monster that had robbed him of one eye. And so they found him. The whole crew was ready to fight the monster, but they saw another ship that was attacked by the monster and they were unable to resist it. The captain did not want to turn the ship around at first, because he really wanted to fight the red monster, but his assistant reminded him about the code of hunters. And according to this code, they had to help them. They turned the ship around and launched a flare so that the monster would pay attention to them. That's what happened. The monster attacked the ship and started taking people away. Jay was able to save people, but the monster took him with him to the sea to fight. He fought the monster for a long time, but did not inflict significant wounds on him. And then the captain of the boxes decided to kill the monster. And he did it. The monster began to sink to the bottom of the sea and the captain dived after him to cut off his horn. At that moment, the monster opened her eyes and began to drag her to the bottom with her tentacles. The captain didn't remember anything else. He woke up on deck and said they were coming home. Their ship was slowly falling apart after such a battle. The captain asked to call Jacob, they talked to him and the captain handed over the ship to the board of Jacob. Jacoba was very grateful to the captain and said it would be an honor for him. And so they enter the city. A little girl who escaped from an orphanage tried to get closer to the ship and looked with admiration at the hunters, who said that they would stay in the city for a short time, as they were going hunting again. Only this time they will hunt the most terrible and dangerous monster. The whole town went to the bar to celebrate, and Macy went after them. And here she is watching everything happening inside from the window. Macy couldn't stand it and knocked on the window. And Jacob opened it. She jumped out of the window and they started a conversation. Macy told me that she escaped from the orphanage and is now on the run. She also said she wanted to be a sailor on their ship. Jacob was shocked with such a statement and sent her back to the orphanage in a cart. And he and the captain and another assistant went to the king and queen. Upon arrival at the castle, they gave the king and queen the sawn-off horn of the monster. But the king and queen were not happy with the catch, because they hoped that they would bring the horn of the strongest of all monsters. They also said they would no longer sponsor hunters. And a new ship with a new captain will be sent to sail. The captain said that the ship was completely unsuitable for hunting monsters and that they would simply send people to their deaths. This made the king and queen very angry and they ordered the captain to be arrested. But Jacob was able to persuade the king to give them one last chance to catch the most terrible monster. And if the monster catches the king and queen's ship, then the hunters will no longer work for the kingdom, and their ship will go to splinters. And now they are already preparing to attack the red monster. The captain announced that after they caught the monster, Jacob would become the captain. The whole team decided to celebrate and have a drink. They started opening barrels, but they couldn't open one. There was a girl sitting in it, whom Jack sent back to the orphanage. Jacob wanted to land her at the first port, but the captain liked her and decided to keep her. And now the long-awaited moment has come. The monster appeared on the horizon and the whole team began to prepare for battle. As soon as they loaded the guns, the monster began its attack. A team of hunters first fired cannons, and then shot spears at him on a rope to cling to him, and then ride the ropes behind him and thus exhaust all his strength. But the monster was very smart and began to twist them into a funnel. Jacoba offered to cut the ropes, but the captain said he didn't want to miss the monster. Then Macy cut the ropes despite the captain's threats. The ship rose sharply, and Jacob and Macy were thrown overboard. When they wanted to swim up, they saw a monster, but it sank to the bottom. Jack and Macy climbed into a boat that was thrown from the ship to them. The captain was very angry and ordered Jack to bring the girl to him. Most likely he just wanted to kill her. At that moment, a huge monster mouth appeared under the boat and ate the boat with the girl and Jacob. They ended up in the monster's mouth. Jack decided to investigate the monster from the inside. He tied a rope to Macy's and went inside the red monster. Macy couldn't contain her curiosity and followed Jack. They ended up in one of the monster's nostrils. Jacob accidentally placed the spear and thereby tickled the monster. And he sneezed, and Jacoba flew out, followed by Mace. Jacob tried to kill him, but it didn't work out. Then they decided to stay on the island where the monster lived. Macy assumed that the red monster didn't swallow them because she was saving them from the captain. But Jacoba got mad at her and said it was complete nonsense. Meanwhile, it was almost impossible to be on the ship after the battle. The ship was slowly sinking and the captain ordered to go to the island of Mokish. He wanted to make a deal with Gwen. The whole team tried to dissuade him, but he was ready to do anything to get revenge. Macy woke up and saw that an incomprehensible baby got out of the bag with food. She followed him and it turned out that they were on the island where all the monsters are born. Jacob saw that she was playing with the baby monster and got very angry with her. She asked to leave him, but he picked her up and carried her past the eggs, but accidentally stepped on one. Following one monster, others hatched. And then they picked up Jacob and Macy and carried them to the sea. Friends wanted to get into the boat and wanted to leave, but the mother of monsters appeared out of the trees and tell fortunes for him. Macy saw that a little monster was sitting on Jacob's back and immediately threw it to his mom and she immediately calmed down. Macy and Jacob were attacked by a monster, but the red monster saved them. Jacob and Macy's boat was leaking and they could not swim to the island. And then Macy asked the red monster to let them down and so agreed. During their trip, Macy saw a huge number of weapons on the monster's back, which different hunters shot at him. And I decided to help Krasnusha, as she called her, to clean everything up. In the book that Macy read in kindergarten, everything was a lie. It turned out that monsters never destroyed cities and did not start a war with people. Everything that was written in the book was invented by people. The captain has already made a deal with the old lady. She gave him something that can kill the monster and went in search of the red monster. Meanwhile, Macy and Jacob got to the island and said goodbye to Krasnusha, but suddenly the monster heard something and quickly rushed up the mountain. Beyond the mountain was the ship of the king and queen. The monster fell off the mountain and attacked the ship. He was about to kill the captain of their ship, but Jacob shot him and showed that Macy was very ill. The monster immediately approached them, but he did not stand for long. A signal rocket was coming from another ship and it turned out to be Jacob's team. Krasnusha immediately dived into the water and swam to the ship. She had not yet managed to swim, as the captain ordered to release their special weapons. It immediately took effect and the monster could no longer move. And the captain took her with him to the king and queen. Jacob and the girl sailed to the ship. Jacob told the captain everything that had happened. The whole team was happy to see Jay and they went to the palace with the monster. They were already swimming up and at that moment the window of the room was opened by a small monster with whom they were traveling to the island. Macy began to cut the rope on which Krasnusha is tied. The captain wanted to kill the monster in front of hundreds of people, but Jay prevented him. And then the captain took out his sword and they started a fight. The captain won and threw Jay into the water. He wanted to kill the monster again, but this time Macy and Sarah were able to cut the rope and free her. The monster immediately went to kill the captain. She was already very close to him, but at that moment Macy appeared in front of her and said that if she killed him now, the war between humans and monsters would never end. Krasnusha froze in place. At this moment Jacob approached Macy and promised that no one would hunt monsters anymore. The people and the king and queen were shocked and did not understand what was happening. Then Macy told me that kings and queens started a war, not monsters. They just had to fight off people, otherwise they would all have died. All the people of the city said to let the monster go. The military did not listen to the king-queen and refused to shoot at the monster. And our three friends went to a new life.